Hey guys, welcome to the curated palette. So today we're making a different and exciting version of kebabs. They're crispy and creamy, so stay tuned to find out how. You're going to need 2 large diced onions, 2 eggs seasoned with salt and black pepper, all-purpose flour, dhania or parsley, salt, chilies, curry powder, garlic, paprika, garam masala, breadcrumbs, this is for that crunchy finish, and black pepper. So for the cheese, you can either use mozzarella or cheddar cheese. So we're going to saute our onions in a pan until they're translucent. That's when now we can add our spices. So you do that for about a minute or so. And then once you add your spices, you also give it a minute. You can add some water if necessary, especially if they start sticking. The spices start sticking on the pan, since we don't want to burn the onions. And then leave that to cook for a minute or so. Then you can add that mixture into your meat. So I'm using a 1/4 kg of meat. Doesn't have to be a lot, depending on how many kebabs you intend on making. So the mixture you don't have to wait for the mixture to cool down. You just add it directly from the pan, since you're going to mix the parsley together using the mwiko, so you don't have to worry about burning your hand. So once it's well combined and the mix is at a good temperature, then you can mix it with your hand to get that combined really well together. So you want to make sure all the lumps that could be found in the minced meat aren't there, because you want to at least not have a section of too much meat at one corner. So you mash everything together, and then you can start forming the mold for the kebab. So you might want to at least be quite thorough. You press it down together really nicely, because if not, the meat will crumble. In a few minutes you'll see what I'm talking about, because the meat does crumble at some point, and that means that your kebab won't maintain the shape, and we don't want that, because then you really won't have a kebab. So take as much time as you feel you need to get that compact shape before you can now coat it with flour and eggs. So once you're satisfied with your shape, you can now put it on the flour. Start with the flour, mix it around, and then put it in the egg. It's like making fried chicken, so it's not too hard. It's a really easy process. So that's what I was talking about. Your meat will crumble. You might think you're being compact enough, but you're not. Your meat will crumble. It's nothing to panic. You can just squeeze it back together again, and everything will be fine. So that could happen. I needed to show you that, and then you can proceed. So one thing that you might feel you're going to need to have to do every time is wash your hands after every mold. This is because when you put your hands in the flour, then you mix them in the eggs, your hands get sticky, the flour gets really sticky, so it tends to stick to the next mold you're trying to make. So every time you're trying to touch the meat, it keeps sticking to your hands. When you pull out, it just pulls out as well, which means you can never really get that form. So you might find yourself in a really difficult position. So you might want to wash your hands after every mold. That will make it really easy for you to go quite quickly and to not have to keep refixing and remolding, which is more tiresome. So by the second mold, it's wise to wash your hands and start again. So this is, you're just going to have to repeat this process until your meat is over before you can deep fry it. So just ensure that you don't have breaks or cracks in your meat, because it won't be able to stick together and it will crumble inside the hot oil. And if you make a mistake or your meat isn't sticking together, make sure your hands are clean and you're not sticking, your pans that have flour not sticking to each other. That's usually the problem. But if you have that sorted, then everything should move in quite nicely. So just take your time, there's no need to rush. And once you're done, then you can start frying. So what I did was, the first 3 did not have cheese. I added cheese to the last 3 because I need to show you that what happens when you make it with cheese and what happens when you don't. So without the cheese, they're still the same, the usual kebabs, except that we have the breadcrumb crunch at the end. And with the cheese, they're more cheesy, they're creamier, they're nicer. So you can make sure your oil is hot when you're doing this, because you don't want the meat to soak in the oil if it's cold. Also, don't have the oil too hot, they'll just get burnt and they won't cook at all. So all you'll have is a burnt exterior and raw meat in the center. You're going to let them fry in there for about a minute or a minute and a half. That will be determined by how hot your oil was. If it was too hot, then it means your kebabs are more burning than cooking. So just ensure that your oil isn't too hot. So turn them around after about, by the end of say 45 seconds, you want to turn them so that the lower side can cook. And then once you're done, you can take them out and repeat the process. So actually, yeah, my sufuria was quite tiny, so I had to remove one before I can turn them. But if your frying pot is large, then you won't need to take one out before you can turn the rest. But once you can feel that they're cooked enough, then you'll just take them out and repeat the process. So you do it 2 or 3 times before you can achieve that exterior that we're looking for. So this is what you have after you've repeated the process about 3 times. So by now you have kebabs already, but since we're using the breadcrumbs, this is the last step. So this is the fourth step. So a fresh plate of breadcrumbs, fresh eggs. This last egg is unseasoned, since the breadcrumbs are the star of the show. Then you need to coat that kebab completely with the crumbs, and that's how you get the crunch, because eggs are quite soft. Even if you fry them, they'll still be quite soft. So in order for you to get that crispy, crunchy edge, that's why we're using breadcrumbs. So just as before, as if you were using flour, just repeat the process and fry one last time. So you take them out when they have that nice golden brown. So our kebabs are ready. So let's check the interior. See the cheese at the edges and how soft the meat is. So you have a really crunchy exterior, and the cheese makes them creamy and really nice. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you on the next one. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Bye.